Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Game 2 of LGD China versus Orange Esports, your semi-final showdown for the G1 League Season 5. Winner of this match is guaranteed a minimum of $13,000 in prize money. The prize money for second place is that. First place, well, you're looking at over $40,000. So, a lot of prizes. This is a must-win game for Orange Esports. If they lose, they'll be eliminated. LGD leading that best of 3, 1-0. I'm LD. I'm joined. I can't even remember my name. Jesus Christ. I'm LD. Joined here by AUI 2000. And AUI, I'm going to let you talk in a second. We'll hop inside the draft. For those of you guys who haven't already heard, there is because we were playing commercials, so I'm going to mention it again. There is a console command for those who are watching Dota TV, experiencing issues with the audio stuttering. We can jump inside the game now, I think. Basically, we'll put a console command in the chat for you guys. Valve has said that adjusting this value may help. So it's going to be CL_voice_buffer_time. You're actually showing my email right now, which is my fault for alt-tabbing because I forgot it. My bad. But we'll put the console command in chat. Basically, the default value is 0.1. You want to try increasing it a bit. No promises. We haven't tested it, but Valve says it may help with the stuttering in-game. So with that being said, that out of the way, AUI, it's Game 2, LGD China versus Orange Esports. Do you think Orange have a shot here?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, last game we saw them dominate the mid game. And I feel like if they had gotten a bit more damage on their heroes, I mean, we see 4 staff from Volker into a Hex. As Lumi mentioned, we saw Mech, Hex from Furion, and the Satanic BKB on Gyro. They really weren't able to kill any of LGD's heroes, but they weren't in a bad position at all in that game.
They lack damage a little bit. Whereas you saw for LGD, they went for the Manta style and Sylar and Radiance as well. A lot of damage.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, that was the difference. I mean, both teams were very tanky. They both had their mechs up relatively early. They both built quite defensively. But LGD was able to also do damage on top of that.
I also thought LGD, they just had better fight selection and better movement. And I think that's really where Orange, their movement is, I would say, equally good, if not better, in the laning stage, but where they really struggle is in the mid game. Just in terms of choosing the right fights, having the vision up. I mean, that one fight at the Roshan pit, that was just not a good place to get caught by a Darkseer.
Yeah, for sure. And that actually reflects in a couple of Orange's mid-game smoke. Gangsta, for example, they smoked one time towards mid, and then rotated all the way to the tier 1 top. I mean, they got a tower out of it, but they wasted a lot of time there, and a smoke.
And they were the team with the profit. They were the team that should have been able to trade favorably with regards to towers. So we enter the draft now. We'll take a look at that. Visage gets banned. Even though that game didn't feel like it was all about the Visage, the familiar stuns were big, and I just feel like whenever the enemy team is Visage, hard to go aggressive tri-lane, and LGD is a team, if you don't go aggressive versus them, they really know how to take advantage of the jungle. So I like that ban a lot. But how do you feel as well about this Nyx Assassin first pick?
It's a bit odd. I mean, I always talk about this, but this hero, sometimes he doesn't get picked, sometimes he gets first pick.
It's like teams don't, some teams just, teams don't know what to make of him, basically.
Yeah, I mean, he really screws around with a lot of strategies,
right.
But in some other ones, he's completely useless. For example, you're against a Lone Druid Lysithor strat, the Nyx doesn't really do anything.
Right.
But if you're against someone who's relying on, say, a Queen of Pain or a Puck to do a lot in the mid game, you get 1 mana burn off on them, you win an entire team fight.
Well, the one thing for Orange is, and maybe they'll go back to it here, but this team has had a lot of success with Mushi playing Queen of Pain. That's where they've had some of their signature wins. It's, I think, his most successful hero traditionally. We also see him on heroes like the Templar Assassin a lot. They'll go Gyro again. They'll go Clockwork this time, so that's a bit of a diversion. Gives them a lot of AoE, gives them control they were lacking, and the one nice thing is they didn't have that initiator last game. Sure, they had the Nyx with a blink. That's not a great initiator. It's decent. Now you have Clockwork, so now you can choose fights whenever you want.
And their setup is also really nice for them. They sort of, like, LGD doesn't really want to put that Meg versus them, but they don't really want to offlane the Meg either, because he's not really going to get much into offlane. Actually, he shouldn't get anything in offlane versus the Gyrocopter.
5 seconds
so
remaining.
There's not really a good lane for Meg right now.
Yeah.
It's just because Clockwork's so good against the mid. The Shadow Demon is sort of standing in China, and there's a Kunkka pickup.
So there's a Kunkka. We've seen LGD take this mid. Xiao 8 plays it when it goes there. We've seen Yao tri-lane it. Options are open. I mean, the Mag, you mentioned he doesn't normally do much in the offlane, but there is this threat of maybe LGD. They just send the Mag mid. They say, just bottle Crow, spam your nukes. Maybe you lose the lane a little bit, but you'll still get some farm and some levels, and we're just going to crush this tri-lane with Kunkka, Shadow Demon +1.
That is a pretty decent option. Personally, I actually don't like Shadow Demon Kunkka that much in aggressive. You spend 2 of your spells to get 1 nuke off that isn't... I mean, it's
you have like no follow-up after that.
Yeah, it feels... I mean, it's not that bad against certain tri-lanes, but it's not like one of the, like, oh, if I go against this tri lane, I'm completely going to lose the game.
Right. And there's some strong heroes to punish that kind of tri lane. There's a Keeper of the Light still in the pool. While they're going in to try and combo, say, your gyro, you're spamming Illuminate.
Yeah.
You wipe them all to half HP suddenly.
Yeah, and Kodo actually would be quite nice for him just because he sort of makes up for the fact that Nyx isn't that strong in lane.
Yeah, and they can farm the stacks well. That gives Nyx a quick level 6.
And they are on Radiant, which means that their jungle is very, very nice for farming.
Okay.
You can get those double, triple pulls, and if you don't want to do that, you can just stack the hard camp, have your supports farm that. So
and because they're on Radiant, it means if LGD go aggressive, they can't pull the creep wave themselves, so it's even harder for them.
I actually don't think that LGD will go aggressive here. I think it actually looks like they might be sending the Meg to off lane.
Yeah.
He's good against, like, if he can get EXP, then he's really good as an offlaner. But sometimes I see Meg, he just gets shut down. Like, that Furion last game, if that was a Meg, he actually wouldn't really get anything. And he would be pretty useless.
And even Ohio was slowed down a lot that game.
Yeah.
But the difference was, you can be more disruptive on a Prophet, because you have the trance, you can block creep camps, you can pull the waves. Magnus can't really do that. So if he can't get something just from the lane itself, he can stack Ancients. That's about it.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, he can't even really mat up on the support, which is often quite problematic. He doesn't have the best animation. He's fast, but the movement speed isn't enough to, like, really make him chase after the support, lock him down, unless you're against something like a CM. But then CM has, like, ridiculous spells for keeping someone out of lane anyways.
So if we look at RNG Sports, we've seen Mushi, he's played safe lane gyro, and he's played mid gyro. So either one is certainly possible here. Speaking of which, they'll ban out the Spectres, so respect towards LGD's carries and trying to force them out of their comfort zone. But what I want to talk about is, if they put the gyro mid, they could run an aggressive China with Nyx, maybe Keeper of the Light, and then a +1. And that could put a lot of pressure on LGD. You mentioned Gyro can actually win his lane versus Magnus if Magnus is in the off lane, especially if you pull the Gyro. Clockwork can dominate Magnus mid. You've talked about that quite a few times. And I feel like Orange, they have a very good shot at winning at least 2 of their lanes, if not all 3, if they go that way.
I think the spec ban sort of points to the... I think the spec ban means that Orange is going for a defensive tri lane.
Yeah.
Because they thought that LGD was going to dual lane mid with Shadow and Kunkka, pick a Meg in off lane and put spec +1 top. That's really the spec setup. Or Kunkka mid, defensive tri. And they didn't really want to aggressive, so they just chose to ban that hero out.
I'm not sure if I agree with that, just because we haven't seen LGD run that dual lane. They're either Kunkka goes solo mid or he tri lanes.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing, right? Kunkka goes mid, and then you have a defensive tri lane with spec.
True.
And all 3 of their bans are sort of aimed at those heroes that can farm really well with that free farm.
So it seems like Orange, even though most of their success has been just having a good start and then rolling from there, they're going to try and take this game a little bit later. They don't want to feel pressured to have to force fights too early. Maybe they'll select some fights, but they don't want to be operating under a clock, or at least that's the goal with a lot of these bans.
5 seconds
and
remaining.
LGD actually banned out Windrunner, which sort of surprises me. I'm trying to think of how Orange would use that hero, but they do go for that Kodo that we mentioned earlier.
They go for the Kodo, doesn't have to be aggressive, can just farm the jungle, and is the best hero in the game for just farming the jungle stacks at the early levels.
Yep, as a support, Kodo consistently gets the most farm, I think, out of any other support hero.
And it's all free, too. He doesn't have to worry about mana. I mean, you can also zone the enemy heroes out of lane really well, so... If LGD went aggressive tri-lane, I mean, the one concern is at the early levels, Keeper of the Light is vulnerable if he gets caught out. Positioning has been a concern for this team. LGD go back for a Jakiro. Generally more of a defensive support, but with this kind of setup, if they wanted to be aggressive, they could too. What is Sylar going to play? That's my question now. His obvious heroes all banned out. The Lone Druid, the Anti-Mage, we saw the Spectre, kind of that pocket pick. If you're LGD right now, I mean, we could even bring up the hero pool on your screen. What do you think Sylar's going to play?
Oh man, I actually would really need that hero pool to look at heroes. I mean, there's a Luna still in the pool that wouldn't be that bad. She's a bit weak versus Clockwork just because you need a BKB in order to get your spells off against Barrier, so Nyx and Kodo also have a lot of burst, but I really like Luna as a hero, just because she provides a lot of push, which LGD actually lacks right now. So I would really like that hero for them. There's also
a Phantom Lancer, I guess.
I would prefer a PA over a Phantom Lancer, but that's actually going on Orange.
Wow, Orange are going to go for it. So this really throws a wrench into our lanes. Now it looks like a Clockwork, probably a Clockwork off lane, a Gyro mid, and then a PL defensive tri lane.
Yeah, and
when you need a win, AUI, sometimes you just got to go PL.
And that sort of explains why they banned out all the strong short lane farmers. They don't even want LGD to try to be able to fight them in farm because they have such a strong defensive lane. Caudle just makes any defensive lane so strong, not really because the Illuminate is a good Neo, which it is, but because Illuminate allows you to push the lane up so hard that the other team can't contest your pull, and then you out-level them, you don't really out-farm them if they're have a really strong talent, but you definitely out-level them, and levels are a lot more important than gold early on. You can use, say, 3 level 3 heroes versus like level 2 aggressive heroes, and you'll kill them, pretty much no matter how unfavorable that matchup
They'll go
is.
Luna, so right on the money there. One of Sylar's other heroes. Haven't seen it as much lately, but gives you a strong 5-man lineup for LGD. We'll hop into the game in just a few moments, but you look at what Orange has. Luna, a pretty strong 1v1 solo against a lot of heroes. I think Clockwork a hero where she'll need some help, though.
Yeah, Clockwork actually beats Luna in a 1v1 usually. We've tried it a lot because we're trying to figure out what heroes, if they offlane the Clockwork, you can sort of punish them with.
How about if you pull the Luna? Does that matter? Not really.
It helps a little bit, but Cogs are just too powerful. And when Clockwork hits level 3, he sort of has kill potential on the Luna. Whereas Luna can never really get that kill potential on the Clockwork. Also, like, you need to buy a bottle on the Luna, which isn't as good on her as, say, it is on the Clockwork.
Yeah, that's gold that you're not spending towards items that help you more later. Like Ring of Aquila, your early Tranquil Boots, your drums. Well, with that being said, guys, we'll talk more about the lanes, but let's introduce the players. On the side of LGD, we've got the man himself, Directorate on his Kunkka. Sylar, going to be playing that safe lane. Luna Yao, known for his Magnus play. At times, he has been sensational. The last time I saw him play Magnus against Clockwork, though, he did struggle quite a bit. CTY really shut him down. Is he going to be going off lane? Looks like he might even start in the jungle. At least he's grouped up with his team for the time being. DD on that Jakiro. And last, EDC playing the Shadow Demon. And then over to RNG Sports.
Orange's side, we have X playing the Nyx Assassin. We have Caudle picked up by Net. We have Phantom Lancer controlled by Mushi. We have Gyrocopter played by KY, XY, and we have the offlane Clockwork played by Ohio. Is Ohio usually their offlane player, or is it just because
Ohio's normally the solo mid, actually? So you normally see KY, XY in the offlane role, but this is something God's talked about in one of the first few days of the tournament. I think even on day one is Orange will switch their lanes just more depending on which player plays which hero. So when they pick Lone Druid, KY, XY will take it. If they want to put the Lone Druid mid, he'll still play it, but depending on the hero, depending on the matchup, they may adjust things. So Ohio will take the offlane Clockwork, and well, he's going to be up against a tri-lane, which means I think now it might be a bit harder for the Clockwork to get much accomplished here. So if that happens at AUI, then we look at trades. RNG Sports, they'll have Mushi, Extinct, and Net just constantly stacking and pulling. Yao as the offlane Magnus, not going to get much either, if anything, out of this lane. So you look at the two offlanes, I feel like both could be shut down. Maybe Ohio gets a little bit more, but not a whole lot. And the question is, for the mid lane, KYXY on the Gyro versus Xiao8's Kunkka. The last time we saw this matchup, Kunkka actually just dominated.
I mean, he did really well for the first couple of minutes just because he has that Tidebringer. But after that, KYXY was able to use his flat cannon spam just to out-regen the Kunkka, and that also reflected as the Gyro actually caught up to the Kunkka and CS. They also have a Shadow Demon mid. So
maybe they go with dual lanes.
Yeah, it looks that way, and this dual lane is actually very good versus Gyrocopter just because Gyro doesn't just need levels from middle. Like a lot of heroes like Night Stalker or Meg, they only really need the levels. I mean, Gold is nice on them, but it's not essential.
He needs farm too.
Yeah, Gyrocopter really needs that farm.
Well, he probably will go. I mean, maybe this is even where you get boots first instead of the bottle, just because if they torrent, disrupt, soul catcher you at level 2, you can easily die. As long as the Tidebringer come and the torrent come after the soul catcher, you can die basically from full HP.
Yeah, for sure. And if we see over at bottom, I like what they're doing here. They're not splitting the support EXP from the pulls.
Yeah.
They have one hero dedicated to keeping the Meg out of the lane instead of having both soak up EXP. And this will actually let
they've gone in mid. They're going to torrent KYXY's. No soul catcher yet. Well, they won't kill him yet, but they're softening him up and hoping they'll go again. The round 2 is where this gets really scary.
Yeah, and he actually only started with a Tango, so he doesn't really have that much sustain in the lane.
I don't think he expected the dual lane. I think he actually thought he'd get a 1v1 here.
Yeah, it really looks like that with that bottle rush. But sometimes even against dual lanes, you still want to rush out that bottle because if you pick up an extra salve or something like that, you're not going to be able to get your bottle fast enough.
And if you don't get the bottle and then you they get leveled up, they can just constantly harass you, force you to buy more regen. Then the bottle gets really delayed, so it's kind of a rock and a hard place. One nice thing about the dual lane mid, you can really control the runes. We'll see the courier coming down. The bottle's actually going to be given to DDC, I think. Not for the time being. The courier, we'll drop it off with Xiao8. So rune spawns bottom. It's going to be an invis picked up by Yao, and well, with this, he may finally get some experience. He doesn't have a single point yet. Ohio already level 2. This is the downside to running the dual lanes. You can't really stop Clockwork from getting levels with the dual lane. You need a tri-lane to do it. That's why I thought they would tri-lane. Instead, they're dual laning mid. They could kill the gyro, maybe if they catch him out, but now KOXY's got his bottle. I think so far so good for Orange.
Yeah, and that was actually really cute there. They the Coddle stacked the easy camp. He blasted it once, and then Gyro was able to kill in his flat cannon, and that was allowed him to just pick up his bottle, whereas normally against that dual lane mid, you'll have a lot of trouble in top.
Oh, sorry guys, missed the first blood. Top rotation from DDC there. Disruption into an ice path, or actually just into a dual breath. Didn't even have mana for the ice path, it looks like. They find an early kill, so they do kill the Clockwork off, but I think that's okay, considering Yao still isn't getting anything out of bottom lane. That's almost worse than giving up an early kill.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with the giving up early kills is that their carry gets more EXP and gold from the lane that's supposed to be possible. And we often see a lot of players sort of just snowballing off those early kills. I expect Ohio to play a bit more defensive now and try not to feed, because honestly, any trialing with Luna is really, really strong just because your right clicks do so much, even on supports.
And they can push very early. They've got a lot of AoE from DD. They also have the Luna aura, so for Orange Esports, they do have Keeper of the Light. This is where maybe Net buys an early teleport scroll, and that's what we see from a lot of the Chinese teams, is if they have a Keeper of the Light, they'll be very aggressive in terms of rotating him to the off lane to make sure maybe they lose a tier 1, but they don't give up a tier 2 for free.
Yeah, and if we see at bottom, something that Mushi did really well is that when Yao got the Invis rune, he actually managed to deny all the creeps. So Yao didn't get that full XP. He only got level 1. He still is level 1 even after that Invis rune. I mean, he'll get level 2 as it pushes to the tower, but being able to deny the Mag EXP is really important.
Yeah, Mag is not an offlaner who can just show up with something like Roar and go to work. Shao will miss the turret mid lane, but I mean, it's a Magnus. You need a Blink Dagger, even Arcane Boots, just to have an impact later on. Heroes like Beastmaster, even say your Tidehunter to some extent, they can somewhat get away with being shut down. Sure, Magnus doesn't need as much as a Gyrocopter. We'll see actually a Lance on Yao, and they'll force the Skewer out, which means for the next 30 seconds, he's not going to get a thing. He's level 2, but Mushi, one more Lance and an Impale. Oh, doesn't have the mana for the Lance. Otherwise, I think they could kill him. They'll go in now. Oh, here comes the rotation from Shao as well as DDC. There's your torrent placed on the far side. It's going to miss Extinct. Some wasted time here. Giving space to KYXY. KYXY spamming flat cannon, and then he just goes and farms the jungle. He's playing safe, and LGD, they got that first blood top, but I don't think they're actually going to kill the gyro if KYXY keeps this up. I really love the way he's playing it.
Yeah, this is really, really smart play, because he knows that if he just stays mid against that dual lane, they have kill potential on him. Whereas if he keeps going back to the small camp, he's going to get more EXP and gold than he would by just hitting creeps in mid.
He actually, you look at his vision right now, he doesn't even see the rotations of the Shadow Demon. They don't have a ward top, they have a defensive ward in their own jungle. So he's just doing this purely on intuition and game sense.
One thing that I'd really like to see from Orange, I mean actually the professional scene in general, is their Clockwork players, I think they need to learn how to time out the rocket to go into that camp, because you can block the pole camp if your rocket flies over it when it's supposed to be spawning. And I think as like the scene sort of picks him more in the offlane, we'll see him, like, Clockwork players doing that. It's actually really good. Like, Furion could do that, like, could stall it all with Trance, but Clockwork can actually do that from anywhere. If you just know the timing from, like, somewhere like your small camp or anywhere, you can keep blocking that, and it's actually a lot of EXP denied to the
And it also it helps make sure the lane's going to push. Courier's going to come by with DDC. He's smoked up, looking to backstab here, but you dive at Clockwork. Is there teleport scroll on Nyx? There's not. Is there teleport scroll on Mushi? There is. Or sorry, not Mushi, KYXY. I'm so used to him playing that nowadays. We will see a disruption. This is a long way to dive, though. And they go for the surround with the illusions. Won't get it. Ohio's going to back off.
I mean, the most important thing about that wraparound is that they needed to deny the Clockwork this EXP. This is a lot of experience that they would give to him if there was no wraparound. He could sort of play up a bit, and if they ever try to go on from the front, it's very easy for them to just cog them away.
So all things considered, AUI, let's look at, well, we might see a rotation here top. We'll wait a second to talk about it. DDC, Disruption is here. Are there going to be cogs in time? Oh no. Torrent's going to fly. Does he get the cogs off? If not, he's in a lot of trouble. Blown up by LGD. 4 heroes top. Now they're going to head back mid in a hurry. KYXY's farming. Mushi's pushing. Okay, so given that kill, how do you feel about the trades? Free farm PL, good farm on the gyro mid. Clockwork getting levels. The support's getting levels. Is Orange getting enough to justify these 2 kills that LGD have secured?
I mean, the first kill, I would say no. The second kill, they had double rotation from the mid hero and the secondary support, so it's a bit hard to avoid. I actually would have liked Clockwork to like play a bit more back, even sitting as tier 2, just because even though he was standing up so far, he didn't really get any XP from the tier 1 because Luna was zoning him out.
Right.
So there's not that much purpose in staying up there. So I think that, well, going back to your original question was, I think Orange is still in a fine position, but they're not in an ideal position.
Okay, they're going to look to go in now. Extinct. He's got Impale. If he can get on DDC, maybe they can find a kill. If they go on Xiao 8, there will be disruption. Calldowns here. DDC, no, doesn't disrupt Xiao 8. He figures he can run away. Is that the case? It looks like it is. The Torrent's there. Wasn't sure if he'd get away. He does with relative ease in the end. Ohio's even rotated mid. Only level 4, but the lane's pulled back, so doesn't really have a whole lot else to do.
That was sort of a clever disruption, because he knew that even if the gyro hit, he wouldn't, the Kunkka wouldn't die. Whereas if he disrupted the Kunkka, maybe a third player rotates in, like the Clockwork, and traps in cogs, and then he's dead.
Yeah.
So by disrupting the gyrocopter there, instead of the Kunkka, he sort of guarantees the Kunkka will take less damage.
Top rune. Ohio's going to try and usher Xiao 8 away, but Xiao 8 runs around the cogs, picks up the haste rune. He won't find a kill, but that is going to set up some potential ganks. Oh, there's your Torrent. Maybe he will find a kill. Comes in now. Ohio's in trouble. He'll pop the battery assault. He gets disrupted for his trouble. Where's that Torrent? Where's that boat? Boat's going to come in. It barely clips Ohio on the backside. Down he'll go. 3 kills for LGD and Orange Esports. Now they trail by 1,500 gold and 750 experience. Not that bad, all things considered, but not the start they were hoping for.
That was actually pretty smart by Xiao 8. He backed up so that the bolt would hit. If you saw that there,
yeah.
Instead of just casting the bolt, throwing it out there, he actually played Kunkka enough that he can aim the bolt, which is actually one of the hardest spells to hit, I think.
Yeah, I mean, unless you've set up. If you're just throwing in a boat without it, very, very difficult, and it's got such a long travel time. Other spells, even something like Torrent is in some ways easier to hit because it gets there a bit quicker. So, well, we'll see KYXI pick up his power treads. Mushi did manage to secure a tier 1 bottom. Let's see who actually got it. The Radiant pick up the tower. So maximum gold to the team. Mushi, drums are now complete. For LGD, they definitely have a timing window. When you're up against the gyro and a PL, they won't take it if it goes ultra late, but they've got a long way before that combo really kicks in. And we'll see a bit of dewarding towards the top lane. Xiao 8, he's rotated as well.
That's actually a very important ward to deward, because if they don't deward that ward, it's going to become almost impossible to defend that tower.
Yeah, Ohio they'll just go on him when the wave pushes and he'll just die.
I mean, it's 3-2-0 for LGD, but Orange still has all their towers, and I think they intend to continuously defend that top tower.
Oh, Ohio's going to be spotted out here by Xiao 8. Nope, looks for the X, won't find it. He'll back off. So they're going to try to take the tier 1 top to match the tier 1 bottom that Orange have already claimed. Still, Orange are getting a lot of farm. You look at this gyrocopter doing pretty well, even though some of those are jungle creeps. Soul Catcher's not going to connect on KYXY. They'll toss in the call down. KYXY might be in trouble anyway, dropping pretty fast. Can he turn this around? It doesn't look like it. The Drodo's just flying by saying, hey buddy, I can't help you. Speaking of which, pretty stacked Drodo, I must say.
I think Jawa's a bit far up, and that I mean, he's done a really good job of just pushing the lane out, going too far.
Oh no, Net's going to drop as well here. Now Torrented, thrown back in, or rather X can throw back into a Torrent, and down he goes. So LGD, 5-0, even though Orange is getting a lot of farm on a PL. This is, I think it's too many deaths.
Yeah, it is getting into sort of like a full 4-protect 1 shot where Mushi has to carry them. And I mean, even with the gyrocopter, which mid lane,
they're going on him again. He gets thrown up in the air. KYXY burning in the macro power. Xiao 8's coming in. He's looking for a cleave. He won't find it yet. Ohio's trying to corner him, or maybe trying to run. I'm not sure if he actually wants to take a fight. Still no level 6 on that Clockwork. And you compare this to Yao. Yao's actually pulled ahead. Orange, they took that early tier 1 bottom, but they haven't kept the lane back. Yao's gotten a lot of experience after being, at one point he was level 4, and then you looked at your Clockwork. Ohio was level 4, and Yao was level 1. The tides have really turned in that regard as well.
Yeah, they really have, and I think that Orange, the support sort of thought that they had to make something happen in regards to mid and top, but I think it would have been better to keep Meg down a bit more, just because that RP is so strong.
Yeah.
So it's not that bad. I mean, the benefit of pushing it up like that is that Mushi actually gets extra farm, because you can push the lane up towards the tower, go farm the jungle, and then the tower and Meg will push the lane back towards you. So you get more farm on the PL, but it feels like it is a bit costly.
They do have the lead farmer, but at the same time, you look at the Luna for Sylar. Sylar's not far behind. He's going for a BKB. Love the item choice. You're up against a lot of nukes. You're up against the cogs. You mentioned just for Clockwork alone, you need a BKB, but I also feel just for this game, you need a BKB, because Orange are going to have it if it goes late enough, unless there's an amazing RP, which is going to be hard to hit against Clockwork cogs, against Battery Salt Hook as well. So I think you go for this BKB, you get the BKB online, and you could start taking some fights, pushing some towers. Xiao 8's going Shadow Blade, And with Kunkka on your side, we've seen LGD, one of the main reasons they love this hero, you can just find pickoffs all over the map, and that allows you to push.
Yeah, he has those really low cooldowns, which allows you to just, if you continue to fight small skirmishes every minute, then Kunkka is probably the best 1 or 2 role hero to do that with.
Yeah, and obviously he won't scale as well as some other options, but he brings a lot more in terms of constant aggression, and when they have RP, this means that maybe they don't have to use RP to get a lot of those kills.
I mean, honestly, even if it goes late game, as long as they go into late game with a
lead,
a decent lead, Luna and Kunkka with the Meg are actually very, very good at dealing with the PO illusions.
Yeah, if I feel it's what you said. It's if they go in with a lead. If it's actually even, and right now it is that PL leading by 900 gold, which is pretty close.
It's overall, I mean, there is a LGD lead, and the Gyrocopter he's not that farmed. I mean, honestly, I would say like late game, if there's no Gyro, if there's something else mid, then LGD would be so comfortable taking it late. They have one of the more ideal anti-PL lineups, but that Gyrocopter is also incredibly good late game, so that sort of swings the late game favor into Orange.
And for LGD, well, we'll see when they do have a Shadow Demon, so that's their other potential hero if you disrupt the PL. We saw that in that crazy game with DK versus LGD where disrupted PL illusion army is created and it actually just turns the game completely. That, of course, was way back during G League in the group stages, but it's still possible, if unlikely, for that to happen. So we'll see what happens. For the time being, we're sitting on about a 500 gold lead for LGD. All things considered, not as much of a lead as I thought they would have. They are leading 5-0. Orange getting so much out of the jungle, only trailing by 1,000 experience as well. So Orange really doing a great job in terms of that. But at some point, they will be forced to fight. Sylar up to 2,000 gold, not too far off of his BKB, only about 900 gold. And once he gets that, they may get more aggressive. They get level 6 on Ohio. He'll rotate towards the top lane. Yao has picked up Arcane Boots. For an off-lane mag who was level 1 at 5 minutes or something along those lines, this is quite good.
Yeah, he's gotten 28 CS, which is, it's quite respectable actually, especially since PL Kodo is one of the most annoying combinations to play against as an offlane hero because they can continue to spam that Lance.
They're going to go in mid lane. There's your X, your Torrent as well. The boat comes in. Ice Path 2. KYXY caught in the middle of an absolute inferno. The dual breath secures the kill. He'll go down again. Mushi's not dying, but KYXY, boy, is he struggling. He started off pretty well, now 0-2, and even when he's not dying, he's running for his life.
I would sort of like to see him return to that style he was playing of super defensive Dota early on, where he just pushed out the lane and went to farm the neutral camp. I think he would get a bit more farm like that, and he doesn't have any chance of getting picked off.
Here comes a big rotation from LGD. There's no Vendetta. The Impale will catch out Xiaowei, but not before he actually throws out the X. That's a 2-hero hook. But Ohio has thrown himself into a world of pain. He will be the first one to drop. On the backside, it's an Illuminate from Net, but he might go down as well. Xiaowei giving chase. Ice Path is there. Torrent's cooling down. They don't even need it. They find another kill. It's just one to the next, and that's where LGD's strongest.
Yeah, and LGD's really, their rotations have been really pristine this game. They're up 8-0, and it's not like their Luna is falling that far behind the PL, even though she has to be a bit involved.
Yeah, she's 1,000 gold behind, but she can go and start taking towers. PL gonna need to split push. It feels like it's evolving into a 4 Protect 1 game because you look at the rest of Orange, Mushi is the lead farmer at 7,300 net worth. The next closest, Gyrocopter, 2,900. That's... he's behind everybody else on the dire side aside from their 5-position Shadow Demon, and his team's even poorer, so it's literally Mushi who has to do it all. And against this LGD lineup, when they have X, they have Torrent, they have RP, they have a lot of stuff they can just throw only at you. I don't know if 4 Protects 1's going to cut it.
Yeah, I mean, the Kunkka actually has Lothar's and, Shadowblade and a gem, so they have that pretty good pick-off potential. On,
they actually found Mushi, but yeah. DDC was, or KYXY was here, or Extinct, excuse me. I was looking for the K, but it wasn't X.
Both teams, they sort of want to use their offlaner's ultimate. I mean, Clockwork managed to get that hook in that top, but then he sort of just hooked into his death, and then Kodo tried to back him and died. But I don't think the Meg is RP'd yet, so I think LGD will start looking for that. He actually is 600 gold away from his blink, which is really, really impressive as an offlaner.
This isn't even that horrible for the mid lane if you maybe die once or twice, all things considered, if you're not CSing particularly well.
And he's going to get it with his stack, I think. I think they're going to give this to him.
Wow, they should. DD doesn't really need the items this much. He's already got a 4-staff, so LGD, they're about to get a 4-staff on their Jakiro, a Blink Dagger on their Magnus. They already have a Shadow Blade and a gem on Xiaowei, the gem given to him by DDC. And then you even look towards the Luna. The BKB is going to be there. It's time to go fight if you're LGD after you get these items. And Orange, well, they'll need to turtle and they'll need to split push. They do not want to be fighting into LGD, not with this level of items.
And I really like this pick of Shadowblade by Kunkka here. If we notice against their game in Alliance, the BKB rush, it really didn't do anything on the Kunkka there. I think that if anything can be said about Chinese teams, is that they adapt really, really well. One game, the next day, they'll have something prepared for a strategy that they lost to. And they missed their timing against Alliance, but I think this one they have a really nice one mapped out here.
And let's see if they find that timing window. The one difference as well between Orange and Alliance is I think Orange was a little bit, or Alliance is better at just creating that early space for their carries and taking the fight to LGD. We saw the early rotations from Ake with his Chen. We haven't really seen the same thing from Orange. They're just kind of sitting back and farming. They've tried to move around the map a bit with Vendetta. We've seen mostly reactive play from Orange, and I feel like against LGD, if you just let them play their own game completely, they'll come for you, they'll find a few kills, they'll start to pull ahead, and that's where, then you just get into the time war, where basically you watch it slowly but surely, the sand drains away in the hourglass, and you just hope that your PL farms enough to win, but I wouldn't want to be in that position if I'm Orange. I would really like for them to find some pickoffs and slow down LGD before LGD gets too much of a strong 5-man.
I mean, it's going to be really hard for Orange to find pickups just because their clockwork is 0-4 and really underleveled, underfarmed. If he ever tries to hook in on someone, if there's another hero here, I feel like he's just going to get blown up. Kunkka's Torrent is actually one of the best spells against clockwork because whenever he hooks and cogs, no matter where you are in the fight as Kunkka, you can always get that disable and the combo off on him.
And the other thing is they have Soul Catcher, and we saw that in the last fight top, is they Soul Catcher him, Clockwork just dies instantly, and then that's Battery Assault off the field. He'll actually hook in mid now, catches out 2, pulls in Xiaowei, but the boat and the triple teleport comes in. LGD say, you go on us, you're gonna pay, Ohio. He gets purged up, he'll melt. LGD, they were fully ready.
That's LGD's goal timer.
Yep, they've got the big items now. The BKB on Silo, they're just gonna gallop down the middle lane. Xiaowei, Shadowblade giving chase. The RP's there, catches out net. Skewers him back into his doom. The Lance is coming forth. Now Mushi in trouble. They throw him into an X, into a turret, into a lot of pain. He'll go down too with the Eclipse being there. They might bring down KYXY as well. LGD, they find their timing. They're going to take down possibly 4 heroes. They clip him through the trees. That's going to be a tier 1 mid. LGD, I mean, Orange just gave that one away to them. They try to fight right when LGD was ready with their core items. A bit unfortunate, a bit unlucky, but also LGD fully prepared for that. And that was, like you said, the go timer.
Yeah, I think that was a really, really good timing by LGD. But I think when you're playing with a PL, sometimes you have to, like Orange were like, oh, I want to defend this tier 1 tower, which is the normal response, right? They're pushing on tower. We have 5 heroes up. Sorry, they only have 4 heroes up, actually, so it's a bit weird. But normally, they're like, oh, we can defend this. We have a Kato, we have a Nyx. We're pretty good defensively, honestly. But as PL, you sort of don't want to go into your opponent's timing window. It's sort of nice to be able to stall for a couple minutes before you have to fight them, because then the items that you get for timings, like BKB, like on Luna and stuff like that, it's not that good 5 minutes later. It's really good right when you get it.
Right.
And it starts scaling off.
And LGD, 12-0, they got to fight it right when they got it, and now they lead by 7,500 gold, 10,000 experience. I mean, I'm just looking at these graphs, and it's a great start for LGD. I don't feel their work is done yet, though. We have seen LGD, if the game goes late enough against a really farm PL, they can struggle. Alliance proved that, so, well, we'll see where things go from here. But LGD, they've got those first set of items. The one thing they haven't done is taken the tier 2s. They haven't taken Roche either, so Orange, as much as they continue to lose fights and look like they're in a lot of trouble, just because of their composition, you get the BKB on KYXY, you maybe manage to farm up, well, I would say a mech on net, but I don't know if he's going to get one this game, but you just farm your PL. Maybe they have a chance. They'll go in now on Sylar. He's got a BKB. He's not able to use it yet. He might be forced to. No, the illusion's not quite enough. Mushi lurking in the trees.
That's a 4-staff on the THD.
Oh, he's had it for a while.
Oh, really?
He's actually had it for a good 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's really farmed.
Yeah, DD's been having a blast in the jungle. And, well, his team hasn't needed much help, to be totally honest. He's just been able to farm jungle creeps. They got the early tier 1 top and mid. And he just went right for a 4-staff.
And Orange, they're playing really scared, and they sort of have to at this point. If you notice, sort of right before that engagement, there are 13 creeps that were hitting the bottom tower in total, and no one was able to farm any of those.
Xiaowei just constantly on the prowl with this gem, the Shadowblade, patrolling for Mushi. Mushi's going to narrowly and unwittingly avoid his gaze. But
like, the thing is, Orange, they missed all those creeps, but they sort of had to, just because they can't take a team fight right now. If they take another 5v5, or actually any engagement in general, it just feels like they're going to lose that engagement unless it's like sort of 3v1 pick.
Xiaowei, he's going BKB. So we've seen this from him before. He just really, he loves He loves the BKB on Kunkka. I haven't seen him go damage first once. He feels they don't use it that way. It's not a big DPS hero for LGD.
This game he did get the Shadow Blade first, which I really like. I feel like he needs that. Oh,
bottom lane. Looks like we do miss the Magnus getting picked off, but he already has his Blink Dagger. Didn't use RP. It's a nice kill. It does buy Orange some time.
And that was sort of
it's also their first kill of the game.
Yeah,
so
it was sort of a bit. Well, it was well executed, but it was a bit lucky in the fact that Sylar sort of took the path through the jungle. Sorry, not Sylar. Xiao 8.
Xiao 8.
Yeah, he sort of ran through the jungle. So Yao thought there's no one that's going to be coming because otherwise Kunkka would have sort of spotted them.
Yeah.
But they just barely skirted around away from the Kunkka there.
Yeah, he didn't really do a full sweep. It was kind of a cursory examination, and well, there was some cancer lurking under the fold. Yeah. Mushi strikes. Mushi now up to 1,700 gold. Could be going for that fairly early Heart of Taras. We'll see if he completes it. Maybe he'll just go back for the Yasha, the Manta. It doesn't seem like LGD is in too much of a hurry to force the fights. That means KYXY, he'll get a Mithril Hammer now, getting closer and closer to a BKB. Should LGD be taking Roche now? I feel that's one of the big questions, because they have aggressive wards, they have a gem, they have a lineup that can do Roche quickly with Luna. They're not really forcing the issue.
Usually before you take Roshan, you sort of want to secure a few more towers.
So they'll take the tier 1 bottom now after this.
I think they'll actually go for 2 towers here, and then they take Roshan. Or if they want to play it safe, they even take that mid tower. Because Roshan, while it's really good to take, it's also sort of the only fight that gives Orange a good opportunity. But even then, I don't think they could take the Roshan fight. So really, this game is just LGD can do whatever they want for quite a while until PO gets one big item.
Yeah, there are empowered cleaves in the house for Xiao 8. Now, once he has his BKB, we'll see if he gets to use them, because of course BKB does remove empower. But for the time being, LGD, they defend mid. Now they'll head top. Mushi actually behind on net worth, but only slightly at that. He is ahead 20 CS. A lot of those are jungle creeps. I think a bit more than for the Luna. LGD are going to smoke up. 4 heroes. They'll head right towards middle lane. Are they watching these sentry wards? They have an observer here as well. Looks like they haven't spotted Xiao 8's rotation and KYXY. Oh no, this is bad. If he gets caught now, he's 500 gold away from a BKB. If he dies again, it may really delay it. And LGD are going to take a tier 1. DDC leads the charge, or tier 2, I should say. And the Rocket's going to come in. They're still rotating. Smoke's going to wear off soon. LGD haven't found anyone yet. They'll head all the way bottom. Extinct is lurking here. If he's the one who dies, and Mushi... Oh, no teleport scroll. This could be costly. Xiao 8's going to lead the charge. They're going to steal the neutrals. Maybe they thought they'd find a PL there. They don't. Mushi, still no TP. Going back into his jungle. He'll send the illusions first. Kunkka, I believe, spotted out. He's actually just going to hide in the trees. Oh, no. He could get caught. He'll send in a doppelwalk illusion. Xiao 8, is he going to fall for the bait? Is he going to think this is the PL TPing out? No, there's a ping.
Good recall.
Oh, a recall. Sorry, I thought that was a dire ping for a second. Got a little nervous. Extinct, he's stuck here as well. He's going to lurk. So they dodge a bullet, and now they go push mid. That was very dicey for Orange, but it's going to work out well and really delay LGD.
I think
there's a disruption on KYXY, though. He drops the call down at the tower. I think should be running. He's got a TP scroll. It looks like he might get away. He'll head up into the jungle. Is he going to TP right now? He keeps on running. Yao's going to RP him. Brains him down swiftly. While this was happening, though, well, looks like Mushi found a kill. Killed off DDC, the Shadow Demon. So they trade 1 for 1. They get a support. They lose a carry. But all things considered, PL's still farming.
And they did not tell, which is another added bonus. I mean, it's been stated quite a bit in pretty much every broadcast, but... using a solo ultimate like RP on a hero at like somewhere like 25 minutes is actually really good. You don't want to be saving the ultimate for these like 5-man RPs, or you're basically never going to get to use it. And it's a lot better to get 3 RPs on solo targets and killing them than hoping for a 5-man RP in the mid game.
So Mushi is now up to 4k gold, his signature pot of gold. What should he go for here? Mushi, our Phantom Lancer.
I would like, well, he already has a VIP boost, so I would still like to get him to get a Manta, just because can he fight with a heart? I'm not too sure if he can take a fight with a heart. Heart is an item that you only get once you know that you can fight.
It doesn't help you split push.
It doesn't really help you split push. I mean, the illusions are a bit tankier, but they don't deal any extra damage. So once hero rotates there, they're sort of not killing everything anyways.
Right.
But
so you'd lean towards Manta.
Yeah, I really like Manta as an item just because if you're faster, you're able to split push better and you can farm faster.
Oh, they might think about going on Sylar here. Mushi's actually hiding in the trees. Extinct's going to scout him out, but this is so dangerous to go now. There's a big rotation coming.
Yeah, this is a bit crazy if they went on him.
Oh, I don't think
they're taking the right option here.
Yeah, Mushi's just hiding in the trees. He'll teleport bottom, and he'll start to push that lane out, but LGD looks like they might have the lanes where they want them to take a tier 2 top.
Yep. I mean, ideally, they'd like bottom to be pushed out a lot, that's actually a lot of farm coming in. Because when you kill something that's pushing in, you also get the next two waves as you push the lane out.
Here comes Xiao8. He's looking for net. Is he going to scout him out? He's under cover of Shadowblade, looking and hunting. He gets the X. The Torrent to follow, I imagine. Now the Soul Catcher, perhaps. No. Pushed back by a Blinding Light. Shadow Demon can't get in range for that. And net, he will escape as a result. DDC, rocket to the face coming in. A Lucid Beam to discourage any aggression from KYXY. And while this is all happening, Mushi, he's going to breach a tier 2 bottom. He may take it. And LGD might not even get anything in return. They'll teleport bottom immediately. Mushi, he'll run away. Good reactions from Orange. They're moving around the map. They're stalling LGD. They're not losing heroes. This is exactly what they want to be doing.
Yep, it's been really good for them. And if the Kunkka had both there, I think that the Kodo would have died and that would have looked a lot better. Though, unfortunately, his build he's very low on mana. But that's sort of what happens with Kunkka when you go for, I think his items are still the right choice. It's just that he needs to be a bit more conservative with his mana, maybe.
I think it's more just there's no arcane boots.
Oh, hey, this might be a good pickoff.
Mushi, he goes under cover of his Doppelwalk. He will get away.
In retrospect, they can't really do that because Ludo TP'd bottom. So if they took that fight, that would be a fight that Orange would want.
Yeah, that's Orange are they're playing defensively, and they're kind of waiting for LGD to make a mistake here, it feels. They're not going to try and force the fights. And Orange, they're often known for overextending. We've seen that a lot from them, that as amazing as these players can be when they have a good start, sometimes they have a lead and they just overextend and cost themselves a game. But we're not seeing that from Orange. We're seeing a lot of patience. This is a bit different from what we're used to, and it's what they need given the way this game is developing. Mushi is going to go Heart, by the way. He picked up the recipe, and it's about to be completed. So 30 minutes in, he'll have a Heart. He'll be more survivable. He won't be able to push out the lanes as quickly as you would like, but I mean, then you get the Yasha, and then things are looking good if he can get to that point.
I mean, the nice thing about his Heart is that if you ever get caught out, your team can react pretty easily. It's a lot of HP, and PO has a 4.2 agi gain, so he's really tanky just with his base armor.
Yeah, incredibly tanky and still gets decent damage from that 4.2 agility gain.
Another thing that's nice about Heart is that you can sell or just assemble your Tranquil Boots to make something like Treads. And
very cost-efficient damage.
Yeah, very cost-efficient damage, because PL, he doesn't really build that much attack speed if you go for a Heart build, or most builds, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, even if they want, he could go full Loda. I feel like you want to get the Yasha first, but then just get the Boots of Travel. And we saw what happens when you've Coddle NPL. Even if you can't take fights, you can just push the lane so fast with Boots of Travel and Recall that LGD, it's up to Mushi to just make a big mistake to actually be able to push in at that point. And has he spent any more gold? No, not yet.
The PL?
No, not yet.
Oh, yeah. No, he just bought his Heart, so we should expect the next item from around like the 35-minute mark if he's farming really well. It's usually like 5 minutes for a tier... I called him tier
3,
6.
tier 4 item.
I called him tier 6 because the Dota shop in Dota 1 had like those 6 shots, but I think it's normally tier 4.
Yeah, I mean, well, basically it's the items that cost around 5-6k gold. So in that sense, it's kind of tier 6 as well. Mushi, he's going to push in this middle lane. His whole team is camped behind him while that's happening. Xiao8 pushes in bottom. The rest of the team for LGD parked behind Sylar. They are somewhat forced to move in a group simply because there's a Nyx assassin on the field, and well, that means that Orange, they can farm a little bit more than what they otherwise would. So the power of the Nyx pick somewhat paying off here. LGD, they have an Aegis on Sylar. He's got a BKB, a Manta style. He's getting pretty tanky. He's got decent push, and they're going to try to take this tower top. While that's happening, Xiao8's on the prowl. He's going to walk right by Mushi. Mushi's just going to duck away, and he'll head bottom, it looks, to push this lane out. So Orange, I guess they just wait this Aegis out. Don't really look to fight right now.
Yeah, that's how it's looking. And the nice thing about that Aegis with such a strong team fight coming from 3 core heroes of Luna, Meg, and THD is that you can have someone like Kunkka pushing out the other lanes. And that, it not only makes it so that PL won't take any towers, but Kunkka's actually getting quite a bit of farm at this point.
Xiao8, we've seen him, I think the last time I saw him play Kunkka, he actually ended up having to buy back a lot and didn't get quite as farmed as he would like, but you mentioned it, Kunkka is, if he's able to get a big crit, probably the single best hero to kill off illusions in the game.
Yeah, he's very, I mean, all the heroes on LGD are really good against PL actually, if you look at their lineup. It's actually very well tailored considering that the TL was a 5th pick, so maybe they actually expected the PL to come out for
Xiao8's going to go in now. He's found the initiation. There's your disruption, or excuse me, your X. Now the boat comes through. Extinct can't even get off the carapace. He will, but the BKB from Xiao8 negates that. They're going to take a tier 2, and for Orange Esports, well, there's still RP to worry about. LGD are going to force them back, but Illuminate discouraging and slowing down this push.
It's
going to miss the creep wave. Oh, that could be big. Now they'll TP top. Mushi does draw them back. They don't get the tower deny, so that's some gold into his pockets, but they get a simultaneous tower deny that does succeed. Bottom lane for Sylar. Well, we take another look at the gold graph. A 10k gold lead, a 14k experience lead for LGD. They're ahead. They definitely have command of this game, but I don't feel they have it won. Not by any means.
And Pio picks up his Diffusal Blade 2, which is a lot of damage. It looks like Orange wants to gear up for a fight here. So the Diffusal Blade 2, for only 850 gold, you get an extra 4 agi, 4 int, and most importantly, the feedback goes from 20 to 36, which is almost doubling the physical output from the illusions.
Yeah, so it's basically your best fight now gold you can spend. And
Yeah.
I mean, I still don't. I'm with you on what you said earlier. I still don't think Mushi wants to fight now. I feel he needs probably the butterfly and the Manta style and some evasion, or the butterfly and then something like a Yasha before he can even think about fighting.
And I mean, Heart also helps you farm a bit faster. So it's a bit more set on PO just because your illusions can take neutral creeps faster. The way illusions work is that if your illusions are low, they spawn low HP illusions. So Heart helps them to spawn high HP illusions.
Right.
But I feel like the Manta style would help him farm more and faster. So
yeah, you get the attack speed, which propagates to your illusions. They attack faster. They're more likely to spawn illusions, and they also do a bit more damage as well. So either way, LGD, they'll take the last remaining outer tower for Orange. Orange, they're waiting out the hourglass. They're just watching the sand slowly drip down and saying, if we could just hold on long enough, Mushi is going to take this late. We'll have the gyros, the secondary DPS. KYXY has picked up a Yasha. It's not going to be big damage, but mainly for the backline supports, it could drive a hero like Jakiro back. Maybe even the Shadow Demon dies quickly or has to use Disruption when he doesn't want to on himself. So they have some other options that'll be distracting and annoying in these fights, but end of the day, this is going to be all about Mushi, as it so often is with Orange.
And it seems like LGD has really learned a lot from their game against Alliance. They're getting towers down, but they're continuing to farm a lot.
Yeah.
They're not sort of squandering their lead by just 5-manning down lanes while PO is able to split push. They're having Ancients being stacked, Kunkka continually being able to farm opposite lanes, and just the Mega Ready really has his items. He can slowly work towards that BKB. He doesn't need it that fast.
He's almost got it anyway.
Yeah, Shadow Demon and Jakiro aren't particularly farm dependent. And are those all Shadow Demon illusions?
Yeah, we're going to see a Shadow Demon army marching down mid. So that's the other thing with LGD. They may have 3 carries of their own if you get the disruptions at the right time. And the PL having a heart, that's going to help him too. So we'll see them go in now. The cogs are deployed to kind of slow this push down a bit. Illuminate. I mean, you talk about a lineup that's hard to go high ground against. Orange may have one of the single best lineups in the game for that. With things like Blinding Light, Illuminate, Flat Cannon, cogs. Very hard to break the base against this team.
Even if you just take Coddle and Clockwork, if you time your spells out right, the backdoor protection is always on.
Yeah. And there's the backdoor protection actually used right now. While Mushi pushes in the top lane, the tier 2 is there. The cooldown was used, but that's cooldown. It'll be back in 40 seconds. A great, I feel very underrated ultimate for its low cooldown. And Mushi's pushing in the top lane. He'll drive Yao back. He'll force the TPs. LGD, they got rid of the glyph, so that's something going their way. They don't have that Aegis anymore. It just expired, but maybe you wait 4 minutes, you let Sylar get a Satanic, you get the new Aegis, then you go again.
And I like what the PO is doing here. As soon as he sees someone TP to lane, he just immediately right-clicks his illusions on the tower. Because he knows that eventually he's going to be able to wear that tower down, and once that tower gets down, he sort of has almost free reign over the enemy jungle.
It's a lot harder for LGD to gank him at that point, and I mean, you also have recall, so you can be in harm's way and still be recalled back out. And he's up to 3k gold, Mushi, so Eagle Song is a possibility soon. The Yasha's already available. He'll save for buyback first, and I feel he's not at a point where he has to spend his gold. They're not that far behind, but you go another 5 minutes, and that's where he'll need that next item.
Yeah. And Clockwork is actually rocketing bottom lane, so that pushes into. They're trying to just apply a lot of pressure onto LGD so that the PO has room to farm. And they're doing that quite well, actually. Just, I don't know, Clockwork Rockets are just so good in a situation like this.
Yeah, Clockwork Rockets, Keeper of the Lights, Illuminate, and then, of course, Phantom Lancer. They have a great lineup to just stall the game and split push. Even someone like Gyrocopter, I mean, a bit squishy and vulnerable if he gets caught. Speaking of KYXY, 3k gold. He's not far off from actually packing a punch. So all of a sudden you have a Gyro who's pretty fat. You have a PL who's not the lead farmer, but only 4k gold behind Luna, 3.5, which, considering their tower deficit, down 2 towers, down a Roche as well, isn't actually that bad.
I'm actually really curious if that's just a casual Yasha or if he's actually going to make that into a, I would say SMY, most likely. Manta Cells, they sort of have a lot of AoE to bring that down.
I feel like you can almost just sit on the Yasha and then just go for some big item like an MKB, a butterfly.
I would like to see him do that because damage output is just, it's very important against a team like LGD. If the fight keeps going on, like Luna does actually one of the best DPS outputs, especially in the base, just because those glaive bounce around, hit all the supports, and it can even like cancel blink daggers. I mean, it's not really relevant too much now, but Nyx does have a blink dagger, and there's nowhere in the base he's really safe for some waves.
Well, here we go. Call down's gonna be thrown out. There is no glyph. LGD, they've taken down the tier 3 once more into the breach men, Xiao8 says, but they'll back off for the time being, as the missile is going to drive them back. Already Mushi's TP'd home, so they won't have a huge illusion army pushing in that bottom lane. Nonetheless, LGD, they're going to back off. Aegis, again, no longer available. I imagine at this point, they don't want to risk a fight before the next Roche. You take that next Roche, you'll pretty much have your Satanic on Sylar, and then you can really force the issue at the base.
Yeah, and that sounds like a really smart plan just because it's sort of a no-risk plan. If they go for a push before Roshan comes up, there's a possibility that they lose a fight right before Roshan.
Yeah.
And then either Orange has enough power to just take a fight at Roshan, or LGD is even dead during Roshan. So.
And if you're Orange, you don't want to contest that. The chances of taking out a Magnus, a Luna, who's going to have a BKB, Manta, Butterfly, Heart, or sorry, not Heart, Helm of the Dominator, very slim, I feel. And even their supports are just so well suited for the Roshan pit. And heroes like Jakiro are just great there.
It's going to be really hard to kill that Luna with the bolt too. Like that bolt, I mean, it's been talked about quite a bit in the cast here, but 50% is a lot of damage that you're delaying.
Yeah, it just allows you to be more aggressive, and then you throw Satanic on top of that, BKB from the Luna and the evasion as well. There's no MKB. Mushi, speaking of MKBs, he'll actually go for one here. It looks like picks up the Demon Edge. He won't go for his own Butterfly. He won't go for the Manta style. He'll just go straight for an MKB.
And I think this is because they feel like they don't have the DPS to take down the Luna, and that once she gets her Satanic, she'll be able to just stay alive for too long, and her glaze actually lets her kill PL illusions pretty decently. And if she's alive, then nothing's going to go right for Orange, really.
The problem is I don't think the main hero can win a man fight, and I feel those illusions are going to start melting very fast. Xiao8, he's got a Daedalus if he wants to buy it. Sylar, he'll have an Aegis to call his own. He's got the inventory slot ready for it. It's going to fit in so neatly into his overall kit. And LGD, they're going to get the Aegis. This is your time. This is your place if you're LGD. It's time to go take the racks, break the base, and try to end Orange's ambitions and their run here in the G1 League Season 5. Xiao8, as always, leads the charge towards the bottom lane. He spots a haste rune. He'll back up, but for LGD, this is really when they want to go.
And Mushi is able to just apply a lot of pressure on the bot lane. At this point, LGD actually thinks he's TP'd out by now, so he can actually use another doppelwalk before he leaves and push another wave here.
Xiao8's coming in with a haste rune. Mushi, well, he'll back off. He'll hide in the tree line. He's got an MKB. If he buys it, he won't have buyback though.
And that crit is really good on Xiao8. If you saw that, he splashed illusion and it was down to like a quarter HP.
Oh, Sylar's breached the high ground now. There is going to be a blinding light to slow this push down, but only for a few seconds. Now bouncing off of the little hutch, trying to kind of boomerang it around to the Rax, and it's going to work. Are they going to defend? They're just not in position yet. KYXY drops a call down. The Rax is going to melt. LGD take a Rax for free. Sylar, not the hero you want to start the fight on. He'll be force-staffed away. They take the Rax. Really a beautiful spread. No way for Orange to easily initiate there. You can't go on Sylar. He can just be disrupted. He's got BKB, Satanic anyway. They've taken one lane of Rax, and soon AUI, it may be to Orange. This would be ending the game, ending the run with a whimper and not a bang. Can they make something happen? There's your disrupt, or rather your X, followed up by the Torrent. Actually, KYXY Manta's out of the Torrent, or out of the X. A nice little play there, but in the end, what will it actually accomplish? LGD still pushing. They're standing strong. We actually see a disruption, a very low HP PL illusion army created by DDC. They'll die immediately, and they're going to go again. Just slowly but surely.
Find it like a bit ironic how LGD is the team that can siege with illusions here. They have the Shadow Demon.
Blink in from Extinct. He's going to go now, and Pale catches out too. Call down as well. Xiao8 on the run. The hook is going to whiff. Meanwhile, Yao's jumped in on the backlines. He's dropped that RP. KYXY going to die first. They'll buy back on the clockwork. This is the last stand for Orange. Sylar just chipping away at the rack, standing strong in the front lines. On the flip side, it's Extinct. Now he's caught out. He's on the run. Wants to finish off Extinct. Can he do it? Doesn't look like it. Missile flies forth. Homing missile for DDC. LGD. Will it matter? That's a 3. Hero, Skewer, Yao might have just cost or Wanda's team the game. Maybe not, though. Mushi still alive, now on the chase. Can he purge off this Ghost Scepter? It not actually being used at DD. Jukes in the trees. They've taken 1 lane of Rack. Luna still alive for Sylar. He actually just ran away from the fight in the end, so Orange, they do defend. They're forced to use a double buyback on the Gyro as well as the Clockwork. Mushi has an MKB. Mushi lives. Good news for LGD, they still have ages. So I feel like they reset, they reload, they have 4 minutes, and then they go to finally end the game in the bottom lane.
Yeah. And there's actually a gem on the ground, and Orange has ward vision of it. So I think
Where's the gem?
It's over here.
Okay.
So
in the chaos of that fight,
yeah.
I guess it got forgotten about. It was forgotten about.
And that's actually quite big, but LGD should have another gem back up now anyways. But it is like 700 gold, and when you're behind like this, you want every single bit of gold that you can get.
I mean, it's even... Well, actually, LGD can buy a new one if they need to. As for RNG Sports, can they? I guess that's... Yep, looks like they can as well.
I don't think Orange is actually... Have they bought a gem this game yet? Oh, they do have one on call, though.
Yeah, they still have one on net. So both teams, they can buy a secondary gem if they need to. That's a small victory for RNG Sports. They'll definitely take what they can get, but they trail now by 17,000 gold, 20,000 experience. It is one of those games where the gold almost starts to matter less now to a certain extent, but not quite yet. I still feel it's, you know, Sylar's sitting 6 slotted. You look at Mushi, he's still got Tranquil Boots, he's still got drums. He's not quite there.
Yeah, and Sylar has just done a really amazing job of farming, really. He's 6,000 gold ahead of a PL at 44 minutes. It's pretty rare that we see anyone ahead of a PL at this point. Maybe an Alchemist, but Luna farms fast, but not like...
Not PL fast. Part of it's Mushi's build. He went for the early heart. He went for the early Diffusal Blade. Has never gone Yasha, which is the single best farming item in the game for PL.
He also skipped a Quelling Blade, which I thought was a bit of a hindrance to his farm. I think that he actually, like, a lot of the time he feels like he needs to join these fights, and he really does need to join this one.
Oh, this one he's going to have to fight it out. Sylar in the front lines working on the racks. Mushi trying to man up for Sylar, but Sylar is just standing and delivering. He'll get disrupted. He'll get some more illusions. The rack's about to fall. That's 2 lanes of racks down. There's no trade in sight for Orange. They stand here or they will fall, and they'll drop out of the G1 League. That's 2 lanes of racks. LGD, the systematic, robotic in some ways, machine of a team. So efficient. Not making any mistakes, and Orange now down 2 lanes of Rex. There's still an Aegis up on Sylar. He's still got a minute. They could maybe even go for the trifecta in the win right here.
And Zhao actually picks up a full AC. So
skips the data list.
They're very well poised to push the base. Actually, I almost feel like with the Chinese teams, they're going to play safe, and he's actually going to farm for buyback. So we might see a little lull in the action just for a little bit while they might think that, hey, Roshan's sort of respawning a bit too soon for our liking. If we take an extended fight, maybe that Aegis expires and top lane's quite pushed in.
The thing is, this doesn't really do a whole lot for Orange. Like, sure, they can push out the lane. Mushi, I don't think he actually does enough right now. We'll actually see a disconnect here. So have a little time to talk about how the game's developing AUI. It's not looking particularly good for RNG Sports. They trail by 18,000 gold. They're down by, taking a look at my graphs here, 22,000 experience. Do you think they still have a shot, or are they pretty much out? Is this just game over if LGD plays it right?
Well, if LGD plays it right with the lead that they have, it should be game over. But there's always that chance of a team making a mistake. I mean, but this is LGD we're talking about.
Yeah.
They're probably the team that, when in this position, they make the least mistakes. Even, I would put them above IG in regards to that.
Yeah, IG is maybe your more explosive Chinese team, but LGD is probably the safest of them all.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really not looking that good for Orange here. I mean, in terms of just pure heroes, they do have a Gyrocopter and a PL, which are 2 of the best late game heroes, but...
Gyro's not farmed, though. I'm looking at his items right now. KYXY has a BKB and a Manta style. Yeah. Not that great at this point in the game.
I don't really like the Manta style
I don't
much
either.
on them because it's not that much damage, and when you're behind, I feel like you really need to rely on a giant damage item in order to get back into the game.
Right.
I mean, right now, he should probably even be going for Rapier, but he has 500 gold. So
he had like 2,800 5 or 6 minutes ago. He chose to go for the Manta style instead of going for straight damage. Yeah. Didn't go for either the MKB or even something like a Butterfly is going to be more damage than a Manta because the illusions are just going to die instantly.
Yeah, and I mean, Gyro, he builds a lot of plus damage items, like even BKB, HOTD.
Looks like we're actually going to unpause here.
So BKB, HOTD, MKB, they all don't give anything to your illusions. I mean, sure, they don't miss, but they don't get any plus damage either.
Well, that being said, guys, we're back in the game. RNG Sports, hopefully you've managed to keep your attention through that actually very short pause. We've had some long ones here in the G1 League. This, fortunately, wasn't one of them. 20k gold lead for the Dire side. LGD, they're one game away from moving on to the Grand Finals. The Alliance is waiting. They've rested. They've celebrated the birthdays. Of course, Ake, happy birthday to him. And for KYXY, happy birthday to him as well. But this might not be the birthday present he's looking for. LGD want to give him a pretty nasty surprise. They're going to march down the top lane. They really have all the items they'll ever want. Xiaowe's actually towards the mid lane, so I doubt they'll go yet. And the backside, we see Extinct and Ohio. They're smoked up. They want to fight now. They know Xiaowe isn't here. They're going to come in. Actually, Xiaowe's the one with the gem. I believe this could cost them. No, DD's actually got it. So they'll be okay for the time being. The engage won't quite work. Now the Purge on Extinct. They're going to try to turn it around. In comes Sylar with his BKB. And do they go all the way? They forced out the BKB. He hasn't done anything with it. No Aegis on him. I think LGD would be well advised to wait for the next Roche now.
Yeah.
Or at least the BKB.
Yeah, the BKB is really big on Sylar just because the illusion's feedback does so much damage. And if you have a BKB, it doesn't hit you. So
I was very nervous for LGD, but Xiaowe, he had passed the gem off to DD.
Yao actually managed to blink out before the... Like, Nyx wasn't even greedy. He didn't go for the Vendetta hit into a stun.
Just impaled.
He just
right
impaled him, and Yao was able to react to that. So that was pretty superb play by him there.
I mean, we've talked about how LGD doesn't make mistakes as much as other teams. They still do make mistakes. It's unlikely, perhaps more so than what you would see from someone like Orange if they were in LGD's position, but it could happen. I mean, almost happened there. If they had managed to get the initiation, they could have blown up Luna potentially. So, or if not Luna, then certainly all those supports. But for the time being, LGD, they'll reset, they'll reload. They'll keep the lanes pushed in. KYXY, he'll make a foray towards the bottom lane and look to push things back out. That's the lane you want to get pushed out as far as possible. Now LGD, are they going to try to break the base? They do have an 8k gold buyback, Boots of Travel, and Sylar. So he has at least one extra life here. He one of two. We'll get another pause, this time from LGD. Another disconnect from DDC. So, and for LGD, should they be forcing the fight here? I guess that's my one main question.
They don't even really need to force the fight. They can PL to PL by just sending Luna Illusions with a Shadow Demon Disrupt.
Yeah.
So that's the one really nice thing going for them. They can continue to pressure until Roshan comes up, get really nice tower damage. Towers don't regenerate, obviously, so unless you have a tree, Imba Hero. Kills towers. Not really at this point, but...
Gods is just, I'm sure, I'm not even looking at him. I am now. He's probably just face palming. He's not a tree fan.
Doesn't like tree?
Apparently not. Gods hates trees, he hates nature. He's not pleased.
Not pleased. Yeah, but they can just slowly siege that tower, take zero risk. Like, as soon as you pop your disruption, you have to sort of just back up a little bit because disruption's actually a really important fight for the spell for the team fight.
Yeah, if Luna gets jumped before she can BKB and she's actually dropping quickly, you want to disrupt her.
Yeah, and once you get that tower down, if you are able to take Roshan after that, it's just going to be... They could even just right-click the racks as long as they have buyback, and I'm pretty certain that they'll get both of them because they can they do a lot of damage.
Looks like we're going to go right now, guys. Let's get right back into it. Sylar continues to slowly work away on the racks. KYXY, he's TP back in, so they bought themselves at least a minute or two until the wave pushes in, but we'll see. It's getting closer and closer. You mentioned the Blink Dagger and Extinct. It's still up. Ohio, however, does not have a BKB. I don't know how much it matters when you're up against this Kunkka as well as the Luna, but it's just maybe you even get disrupted, don't get off your cogs, and buys more time for LGD. I mean, so Orange really suffering for items. And we'll go again right now. It's apparently disruption on the PL. Are we going to see an anti-army of PLs just yet? Yep, they're spawning. Oh no, here comes the siege. Manta's available in 5 seconds for Sylar. DD in the front lines. This Jakiro does not give two hoots. And the rockets come in. The tower's dropping low. Mid lane's pushing in. Bottom lane's pushing in. LGD, do they even need Roche? They don't feel like it. They probably are just going to stick around. Sylar has 9k gold. You talk about playing safe. This is just absurd how rich he is. He could buy a bunch of items for his whole team. Oh, there's your Blink. Perfect initiation on Sylar. Remember, he's got Boots of Trouble buyback if he needs it. Yo, he's here with the RP. He's turning the fight around. Sylar is too fat and too furious. That's 4 dead. Buyback on the PL. Doesn't even matter. It doesn't feel like it. LGD, they're going to take their third and final lane of racks, and this is the end for RNG Sports. We talked about them as a team that could finish top 3, top 4, but they won't have what it takes to go to the grand finals. It's going to be LGD versus Alliance, the rematch.
And that is going to be a really, really good game there.
I'm excited. I mean, as much as I love Orange, I know the players personally. I don't really know anybody on LGD personally. I was rooting for them. I think this is going to be the more interesting matchup.
For sure. And, well, Sylar. Did he even die that series?
Did he die in this? Oh, actually bring up my console by mistake. Let's see if we can tell.
He didn't die this game.
Wrong button.
Don't think he died last game either.
Where's my scoreboard? Sylar. 709. Didn't die this entire series.
Yeah, really fantastic play out of...
Barely anyone died on their team, to be honest.
Well,
it was 22-5.
Yeah, to be fair.
Yeah.
But the first game, I thought that he just played really, really well. He dodged every single gank thrown at him, and even when they were behind, when he was spec, he was able to just turn around with really great haunts.
This was just an LGD lineup. You know, you get your strong carry in the Luna who can take it late, but has more impact early. They don't generally go for sort of those low impact carries, not as often. They get the Yao Mag in the off lane, was shut down early. I thought Orange were going to have a big advantage when that happened. Everything was going well for them in the laning stage. KYXY mid, he wasn't dying to a dual lane. It felt like LGD was actually falling behind, but LGD, they just made the better rotations. The lane got pushed in bottom a little bit too hard. Yao was getting more than he should have. Just felt like when it came to crunch time, LGD was the more clutch team.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't particularly like Orange's draft just because there's not enough farm on the map. If you look at their last hit scores, they're like 431 on the PL, 330 on the Garo, and that's already too much CS for a team. Like the other heroes are all sub 100, and you sort of want a bit more balance of farm when you have a PL, just because if it's just PL, he can't really 1v5.
Yeah, not that lineup anyway. Not when there's RP. You have a one carry lineup, you could really be punished. So your winners, LGD China, but they're not going to celebrate too much because they know the real test comes up now. It's LGD versus Alliance after this. But before we go to a break, let's pass it over to the analyst. Gods, Lumi, your thoughts on this pretty exciting series?
We're not on camera, Lumi. That doesn't work.
Lumi's failing high fives again. Look at this like pathetic swat.
Dude, Ali and I yesterday had some telekinesis high fives, so don't even trip.
It's true.
Telepathic, you mean?
Yeah. That's
Orange,
That
well,
wasn't even a high five.
good sports. They're shaking hands. They don't look too disappointed. I think they realize they just got a bit outclassed, a bit outplayed that game. LGD are they're in form. Orange have had a good tournament, just not a great tournament.
I mean, finishing top 3 when you're in the party of DK Alliance, IG, which
Liquid.
not really
Yeah.
IG, and
Yeah,
it's a good finish.
they can go home proud.
They can, but yet another tournament, yet another resume that's third place, second, and not first.
Yeah, well, we're going to see LGD go up against Alliance next. But as far as that game's concerned, big things that went wrong for Orange. Where do you see the game fell apart for them?
It was kind of a slow grind. It was just they got out PL. It's every time that they were trying to push down tier 2 towers, DK was on top of defending tier 2s.
Yeah.
Defending tier 2s is really important against PL. First, you cut off his kind of foray into your jungle. Once the tier 2 is up, he can't really move as freely. Also, secondly, is that if those tier 2s are up, next time that a DK player TP to defend, after they defend, they don't have to travel as far back to the lanes and push it out. So they save more time by defending these towers. They limit more gold to the PL, and they eventually outfarm. Luna was outfarming PL throughout the entire game, and that's the impressive fact.
That's the thing. I mean, talk about Sylar with no death. To me, he's been a tournament MVP almost. I mean, regardless of the outcome of the grand finals, he's up there as one of the best players of the entire tournament. Probably him and S4. They've been sort of the tournament MVPs. But the other big thing as far as that game's concerned, I feel like the Mag in the offlane. We haven't seen Mag offlane really at all, and never to much success. It actually worked out okay for LGD, even though it was a slow farm. He got some levels, some XP. I feel like he did a formidable job there, and it was something which just didn't get punished enough by Orange.
I actually found that a little bit questionable. They kept him down really good, like for level 1, level 2 for what, 5-6 minutes? They pushed down tier 1 tower, and then suddenly they're like, well, we're done here. And you can't be done there because he just got level 4 like right after 2 waves. So
I think that was the big weakness with LGD's lineup, which Orange did a good job early game punishing. They knew what their plan was, but then it just fell apart. Well, it didn't so much just fall apart, but they just let go of the pressure, which it just sort of put all of that early game to waste.
yeah, another big thing that doesn't really show up on the scoreboard is Shadow Blade during the mid game for the Kunkka. Once you're ahead, it's so hard to actually deal with that presence because you have no idea where you're gonna get X. You get X, you get found, you get dead. And PL could kind of dodge most of the ganks since he's PL, but for every other member, they have to stay so defensive, and that's also part of the reason why they so underfarm compared to the rest of the DK
And the
squad.
early gem along with the Shadow Blade.
That's the big thing too.
Yeah, they had such great map control once they got that gem. I think the other big thing which AUI sort of highlighted as well was that LGD kind of learned from their mistakes against Alliance in that PL game. They didn't just keep trying to 5-man push down the mid lane or something. They sat back, they pushed out the lanes, they took all the tier 2s, but then they also get their items up. The game against Alliance, you had a Kunkka who had no item progression beyond his BKB, as well as other sort of 2-3 position heroes who didn't get the items they needed. This game, they're like, okay, we've got the early game advantage, let's just keep on farming. We can take this late game even against the PL if they starve Orange Esports well enough, which they did.
Yep. Final thing about the PL, I'm not sure if we're over-analyzing it.
No.
But one thing when you try to, you want to fight team fights with PL is not really heads up. He's a really tanky hero. He deals a lot of damage, but he's only really powerful when you get a big army or when you're backstabbing. You saw Mushi, he's always defending in front of the base. What you see from really, really smart PL players is that you smoke up, maybe solo, or the entire team, you walk around and do a huge wraparound. He never really did that, and that's why they had such a tough time defending.
Well, congratulations to LGD China. They're going to be going on to the grand finals to meet Alliance. We'll have a quick sort of look at what our brackets look like, but it's no surprise what it looks like now. Alliance, they're up against LGD. LGD, who should be in that little bracket slot there. LGD's disappointed.
Hashtag production value. Here we go. There's your grand finals.
Grand finals. It's not as, I feel like this slide just needs to be like epic, like grand finals, team versus team. I don't know.
Where's the dubstep, the flashing lights, the beautiful women? Well,
we have a good clip with Jared actually did with some BTS dubstep, which we're going to have to pull out later on. I don't know if we have it in the video yet.
It's really the highlight of our content.
Okay, well that's going to come out. But grand finals, LGD versus Alliance. Don't need to talk about that match too much more. We'll have a bit of a discussion before that game does go live. You'll be casting with LD for that one, but we'll be taking a quick break now, guys. When we come back, we'll be live with your grand finals match, LGD versus Alliance.